Hey everybody, it's Shelly. Just decided to come on here and just talk about some law of attraction stuff that kind of hit me this morning while I was doing my meditation and my guided meditation and all that stuff that I do in the morning. And I was watching a woman, what was her name? I don't have my phone with me. Her last name is Kay, Allison Kay. Um, Actually, one of her products or an ad showed up on either TikTok or Facebook while I was looking at it this morning. And she talks about the ease of everything and, working the law of attraction and all that good stuff. And it just dawned on me because I've been working with the law of attraction since I've been working with it my whole life, but I've been consciously working with it since 2006. Fast forward to 2009, and Camaro came out with their new generation of Camaros and body types and everything, and I just fell in love with them because I always liked the 67, 68, and 69 Camaro. And then I just feel like the whole design just kind of fell off for a while. And no offense to anyone that has any Camaros between 70 and the 90s, because people loved those body types too. But personally, I really like the 60s body type. So when they really kind of came back to that in the 2000s, I was so excited. And then the Bumblebee music movie, the Bumblebee Transformers movie came out. And I was just like, this is so cool. I love this yellow and black Camaro. When I was little, yellow was my favorite color. I just fell in love with it. And so I started doing affirmations and visualizations of me driving my yellow and black Camaro. And it would just be like, how it is when you're trying to work the law of attraction and you're just struggling and you're trying to see yourself driving the car, but you have all those other thoughts like, how am I going to afford that? There probably aren't even any around where I live. Like, it's just so far out there. Like, I'm a mom. How am I going to fit kids into a Camaro? I need to shut my email down here so we don't have to listen to that. So I ended up getting my Camaro in 2020. And I was like thinking to myself while I was listening to this woman. I found her on YouTube, but like I said, initially I saw an ad for her. It's her chakra clearing program she has or whatever. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if she has any videos on YouTube, because that's just where I go, So I found her YouTube video. I'm listening to her, and that question came up for me, like, what changed when I decided to get a Camaro? What changed when I actually got it? Like, compared to like all these visualizations and writing it down. I, Shelly, am so happy and grateful now that I drive my Bumblebee Camaro. I, Shelly, am so happy now that I drive my dream car, and then closing my eyes and imagining being in the vehicle and driving it around and, it just being so cool. So I did that for 2009 to 2020. That's 11 years. And I'd see them everywhere, and I'd take pictures of them. I'd come out with my groceries out of the grocery store, and there'd be one parked across from me. I would, we'd go to the mall, and there'd be one parked at the mall all the time. I think somebody worked there that had a yellow Camaro. So I'd pay attention to them, and I'd see all the other Camaros, but the yellow ones were just really special to me. So fast forward to 2020, we're getting our stimulus checks. I've been driving the same minivan, which I was still grateful for my minivan. She was awesome and served so many purposes, from foster care with her built-in car seats, and our own kids with her built-in car seats, to trips all over the place, to Disneyland and the coast and Seattle. And she was a great minivan. But I had thought about, it was just like this whole law of attraction thing is just great. I had thought about, I would like to get a new car with the stimulus money, because we got, within a couple months, we just got bombarded with all the stimulus money. We just put it all in savings. We didn't need it to live on, because Scott worked through the whole pandemic, and so did I with my reselling business. And I was like, I would like to get a new car. And so that was like a Thursday, and that Saturday, without even saying anything to him, he goes, I think we should get you a car with the stimulus money, like put a down payment on a car. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking that. That's so cool, which we do a lot. My husband and I do that a lot, where I'll like text him and he'll be like, oh my God, I just picked up my phone to text you, or I was just thinking about you. So we just get on these, we have these off times, but when we're on, we're just like on, and we're just like all like literally reading each other's minds. It's kind of cool. Anyways, enough about that. So he says that, and I'm like, cool. And I'm like, our oldest daughter, who is now 25, at the time she was 23, and she's, looking at marriage. She was going to school to be a teacher. She's a teacher now. She's getting married this summer, but that was 3 years ago almost. And I was just like, there's going to be grandkids probably in several years. I should probably get like a little crossover, which I'm not a fan of crossovers. Again, no offense to anyone that has a crossover. I just think they all look the same. I really like cars that are distinct. When you see them, you're like, oh, that's a Porsche, or that's a Camaro, or that's a Ford truck, or that's a Dodge truck. Like, I could tell the difference between all those things. But those crossovers, it's probably just annoying to me because I can't look at one and just like be like, oh, that's a Honda crossover. That they all look the same. They all have the same shape. If you don't see the logo and you just lined them up. So anyways, I'm just like, I should get a crossover. And he's like, really? I know how you feel about crossovers. So I had just put it out there on Facebook. Hey, I'm probably going to be buying a new car in the next several months. If anybody has one for sale, like, I'm not going to buy a brand new car. We're going to get something new to us, used in good condition. So I thought, I'll put it out there for my friends. You never know if somebody's getting ready to sell their vehicle or whatever. So I put it out there, and credit to my friend Bethany Courtney, because she has a Camaro too. She's one of my new Vancouver friends, that I met while I was here, and we'd become Facebook friends, but we also, live in the same town. And so she writes me and goes, you have to get the Camaro. And I said, it's just so impractical. There's no way I can get a Camaro. I don't think I can afford it. And she goes, you'd be surprised what you can get a used Camaro for right now, and you should check it out. And so I kind of started looking, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, compared to the crossover that I want to get, a used Camaro is basically the same price. Like, okay. And I'm just like, what about grandkids? And she goes, you'll adapt, and you have other vehicles. I'm like, you're right. We have a 4-door truck. We have a Chevy HHR. Like, we can adapt to grandkids. I don't need to use my Camaro for grandkids. So I'm like, you're right. I'm going to look at Camaros. So I tell my husband, I think I'm going to get a Camaro. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like, look at the prices. They're very comparable to what we've been looking at. And he's like, oh, you're right. So then kudos and gratitude to my other friend, Rebecca Baffus. Her maiden name is Fletcher, and I went to high school with her, and I was over at her house. I was either picking up some clothes or dropping off some clothes. Because she has church charity and that kind of stuff, and school charity, that I think I was dropping off some clothes that I was weeding out of my inventory. So I'm over there, and I said, yeah, I decided to go ahead and get a Camaro. And I said, I just don't know what color I'm going to get. And she just looked at me and she goes, Shelly, you have to get the yellow and black Camaro. You have to get the Bumblebee Camaro. You post that all the time. There's people that I run into that are like, oh, I saw your friend driving around Vancouver, because they think you have a yellow and black Camaro because you post it so much. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know. Like, we can't. I've kind of looked around. I haven't found any here in, in the Portland, Vancouver area. I don't know where I'd get one. And she goes, we one time drove all the way to Arizona, or I don't remember where. I think it was Arizona, to buy a car sight unseen. I was like, really? She goes, yeah, people do that all the time, especially with specialty cars. And I'm like, okay. So we start looking around. So this is where it gets interesting. So I find a Camaro, but it's just a yellow Camaro up in the Seattle area. And so this is during the pandemic. It's May of 2020. So we're in the thick of it, right? So I call this dealership up in Seattle. And Seattle's like 2 hours from here. And I don't remember the name of it was just, I found this Camaro. It wasn't yellow and black, but it was yellow. It's like, that's good enough for me. I was settling. So I told him, look, we're in a pandemic. You can run everything from where you're at. We're in the computer age. There's no reason for me to come up there and haggle prices and stuff. I want to come up and test drive it, of course, but I want all the financing done. Like, I want all of that stuff done. So when we come up there, I can test drive the car, and then we can sign the papers and drive the car away. Like, that's how I want to do it. He's like, oh, yeah, we can totally do that, and, well, we're going to need to talk to your husband because he's the main income earner. And I'm like, totally understand. Fine. So my husband calls them from work, and a whole different story with my husband. They want us to come up there and talk to us about finances. They're not going to run anything until we get there. So my husband's like, well, we'll just go up there on Tuesday. And this was like over the weekend. And he's like, we could go up there Tuesday and, do all that stuff. And so it's like, by the time he gets off work and we get there, it's going to be like 7:00 at night. And then we're going to play the haggle game at the dealership. And then I'm going to be and it's pouring down rain. I'm either going to be driving my van home, because that's what we drove up there, because we weren't going to use the van as a down payment. We were going to give the van to my stepdaughter. Or I'm going to have to drive this car that I don't know. So either Scott or I are going to have to drive the Camaro back home, and one of us is going to drive the van, which I would totally drive the van because I know the van better, and it's pouring down rain on the interstate. I'm not driving this brand new car that we just, well, not brand new, but new to us, my dream car, blah, blah. And he was just like, yeah, they don't want to run anything yet. Well, it was like that Monday, I just thought about it, and I'm like, this is not how this is supposed to go. I'm not supposed to go up there and haggle and, it be this big, huge struggle to get this car. And, our credit is great. We have a good, large amount to put down. Like, don't mess with us. And so when my husband came home on Monday, I just said, we're not going to Seattle. Like, number one, it's not the right car. I want the yellow and black Camaro. And I told him what I wanted, and they're not cooperating. Like, they just lost the sale. He's like, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I'm positive. So it rolls around to, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday. The next day, my husband on our phones or whatever sends me a picture of a yellow and black Camaro that's in Grants Pass, Oregon, which is down by Medford. And it was a better price. It was the yellow and black Camaro. It was the years that we wanted. We knew there were some engine issues with some of the years, so we were looking for some certain years that we wanted. And so I called the guy and I said, look, we're up in Vancouver, Washington. I do not want to come there and haggle. And I would like you to hold the vehicle for me if that's a possibility, because it was Tuesday and we weren't going to be able to do that run until Saturday. And he's like, no problem. He goes, I'm just going to need to like verify your, I am going to have to like run your credit before I hold a vehicle for you for several days. And I said, okay, no problem. So anyway, and I told him I wanted it all financed. I want a warranty. I want to know what my payments are. I want everything in line before I even get in my car to come to test drive this vehicle. He was like, absolutely. So I was like, okay. He held it. I gave him a deposit to hold it that was refundable. If I didn't like it, we'd get our deposit back. We drove there. It was the price that it was. There's no haggling. I test drove it in the pouring down rain in Grants Pass. He's like, you can take it up here a ways. There's some curves. You could try it out. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't feel confident enough to drive this car in the pouring down rain on curves and try it out. So I was just like, got a warranty on it. I was good to go, which, could have been really stupid, but it was just all falling together. That whole week, that whole like 3 or 4 days before we went, I was in a constant state of butterflies and excitement. It was kind of amazing, but it was just so weird. Every time I thought about it, I would just freak out and I'd just be like, this time next week, there's going to be a Camaro in my driveway. Like, I've been wanting this for so long and this is really happening. And I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. I wasn't waiting for something to go wrong. If this didn't work out and we got there and they jacked us around, I was just like, well, we'll just have a nice trip to Grants Pass. And then we were on to Klamath Falls, because that's where my stepdaughter lives, to give her our van. And so it worked out great, because going to Seattle is north and going to Grants Pass is south, which is where we need to go. So it was all just falling into place. Went there, test drove the car. They did have some issues with the internet because it was like, it wasn't just raining, it was like torrential downpour. And so congratulations on purchasing your Camaro. Thank you. So anyways, we get the Camaro, and then so we're in the van. So I said, can you please drive the Camaro? Because it is pouring down rain. We have to get back on I-5. We're probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from Klamath Falls. I don't trust myself to drive this car that I just test drove once. I trusted his driving better. He was like, can I get that in writing? It was like this joke or whatever. And I have to tell you, he followed me. So I'm in my minivan ahead, and he followed me the whole way back to Klamath. Of course, we like stopped a couple of times for snacks and bathroom breaks and stuff, but and the whole time I'm looking in my rearview mirror, yelling in my van, oh my God, people, you can't even believe what is happening. This is so cool. It was like a dream. It was amazing. But the coolest part is, I am in May, it'll be 3 years since I've had this car. I still get in it daily, pat it on the dash, and her name is Queen Bee. And I just absolutely appreciate and love this car. So anyways, it was the easy one. It was the easy part. That's what the difference was. I kept turning to what felt better and what felt easier. I wasn't like, oh, I got to get the one in Seattle. We're going to go suffer and it's going to be this huge struggle. No, I went for the easy way. I was like, that's not easy. That sounds horrible and hard. And I don't want to go spend hours in a dealership. I told them what I wanted and they are totally going against that. This other place, which I will do the plug for them, was Grants Pass Toyota, and best experience at a dealership I've ever had. And I'm sure there's been people that have gone to that dealership and had horrible experiences. And I'm not a fan of dealerships. I think they're a racket, but best experience I've ever had at a dealership. We were there for maybe an hour after the test drive, just because the computers were acting up and they lost their internet for a while because it was raining so hard. So yeah, so that's the ease of it all. And then I can tell you another little story just really quick. When we had to move into the house that we're in now, our previous landlords were friends of ours, and they she called me on February 1st and said, I really need you out by the end of the month, which, legal or not, we're friends. And I'm just like, holy crap. And then we all got like some sort of swine flu or something. It was before COVID. It was back in 2017 that just kind of like floored us, the whole family, for like a week or so. When I came out of that, we had like 2 weeks to move, and they weren't going to like kick us out on the streets or anything. They had family here. So if they came back and we weren't out yet. So I was really struggling with that. We couldn't find a place. We had a dog that we weren't willing to get rid of. And it was just kind of crazy. I was in the car business for 4 years. It was fun to help people locate the vehicle they wanted. Yeah, I bet it was. Because it was just a really cool, fun experience, that whole thing. And just how I kept pivoting to what felt easier and pivoting to what felt easier, which is what I'm trying to come across with this whole video, is when you take the easy way out, it's better. We're supposed to be at ease. We're supposed to do things with ease. I mean, you look at like Mother Nature. She doesn't try to do things, the hard way. You look at animals. They don't, like say a cheetah is out on the savannah and there's a hurt gazelle. Do you think that cheetah is going to go, oh, I probably shouldn't just take that gazelle because there's not enough work involved. And, to get good things, you have to work really hard. So I'm just going to let it lay there and die. And I'm going to go after these healthy, strong gazelle. And I'm going to chase after them and hope that I get one. No, that leopard or cheetah, whatever I said, is going to go after that weakest link because it's the easiest. That's just an example. I'm not saying go after the weakest link in that I'm just saying that's how Mother Nature is. Mother Nature doesn't struggle to like have a plant grow. It just grows. It goes in the soil and it works its way up and it grows and provides, fruit or grain or whatever, It just dawned on me this morning. And I've been watching Abraham Hicks. If you watch Esther Hicks, she channels Abraham, and Abraham talks about how we're supposed to take the easiest route. We're supposed to take the route that feels better. And what's easy and fun for us is not going to be easy and fun for our neighbor or our coworker or our husband or our kids. Like, I love thrifting. I love going to the thrift store. I'm excited today because my son has a doctor's appointment and it's across from a Goodwill. And I have like this new way I'm going to shop at the retail Goodwills. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to go. And I have friends that are just like, oh, I never go into Goodwill. I just think it's gross, or it's, if I want something, I'm just going to go to Kohl's and buy it or whatever. I'm just like, oh, I love the bargain. I like whether it's for me or to resell, I just absolutely love it. So anyways, going back to the house thing. So they called, they want us out in a month. Panic ensues. We get sick. Then we got like 2 weeks to get out. I called my landlord because I just want to make sure, hey, you're not going to like kick us out on our butts if we can't find a place, because we're having a hard time. Because our credit wasn't so good then. We've built it up over the last several years. And most places are property management, another racket, whole nother story, but I'm not going to go there. I'm trying to find a private landlord that's going to let us have our dog. Not ready to buy. Our landlords at the time said, well, we're going to eventually sell it if you want to buy it. And they just wanted way too much at the time. I regret it now because I would totally love to have that house. But so I'm talking to the husband and wife landlords that are our friends because our daughters were friends in school. I'm talking to the husband and I'm like, look, I don't know how we're going to do this. I'm just freaking out. And he said, can I tell you something like from, I know, honey, it's okay. I'm doing a video. Come here. You can say hi. This is Oscar and he's patrolling the neighborhood. Okay, go. Okay. Anyways, He's not patrolling the neighborhood from the neighborhood. He's doing it from the front window. So anyways, he's like, can I just be really upfront with you, like in a, friend, spiritual way? And he's a Christian. I'm not, but he's just like, I just believe that God will provide, which is the same to me. For me, it's the same as the law of attraction and the universe and getting in line with things. He goes, since we knew that we're going to be moving back to Vancouver, everything has just come together just perfectly for us. We had to sell a car. It sold immediately for full price. I had to sell my boat. It sold very quickly, full price, to really good people. We had really good conversation. It was just really good experiences. I found a new job up there. It's just been perfect. And it's just been great because we've just been like, this is just how it's going to go. God will provide and we're going to do this. And he goes, you just need to have that same attitude. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I've just had this panic attitude. I loved that house. I did not want to leave it. So I was just like, you're right. I just need to get back in line with who I really am and the positivity of the universe and the ease of all of it. So the next morning, so that was like a Friday. The next morning, I'm like, let's go look at some townhouses that are out on a certain part of town. And I'm like, they have open houses over there. We'll just go drive around until we find an open house for a rental and go look at it. So we're doing that. We're driving down. There's like a main street that runs this way by a few houses over. And we see a for rent sign. So we take note of it, but then we go drive around the townhouses and the apartments and stuff. Because at this point, we're just like, whatever. Like, we really want a house, but if we can have our dog in a townhome, I can take her for a walk instead of put her out in the yard. And so we take note of this house. We go look at the townhouses. We don't find any open houses. It's just a total bust. We're just kind of driving around aimlessly. And I said, let's go back and see about that sign that we saw. And it was just like a little Dollar Tree for rent sign. I think it just had an arrow. I don't even think it had an address. And we drive down this road right here and we come around the corner. The landlord is standing in the driveway. This is back to the ease of the law of attraction. When you do the easy thing and you visualize and and you have faith. That night before, I just had faith that it was going to happen. I stopped panicking. It's okay. We're not going to live on the streets. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to work out better than expected. And I just kept like chanting that in my head as I was going to sleep the night before. We come around the corner, the man's standing in the driveway. I roll down the window and I said, hey, could we look at the house? And he goes, absolutely. So we park, we get out, we look at the house. What's the rent? The rent was more reasonable than most of the stuff we'd looked at. Like, it was pretty reasonable. I mean, it was on the lower end, but I was like, well, we have a dog. He goes, yep, most families do. I said, do you charge a deposit? No, the last people had dogs. It's fine. I'm not worried about it. So we look at the house. We're like, we're very interested. He's like, here's an application. If you could fill it out and bring it back. I don't charge an application fee. I'll just run your credit. I just have to verify income. He goes, but there's one person ahead of you. So I just have to let you know that. We're like, okay, hope we get it. The next, we go home, fill out the application, bring it back. I'm still like, can we give you the deposit right now? Like, we have the money, like, and he's like, no, I have to give this other guy a chance because just the way the legalities of being a landlord. And I'm like, okay. That evening, or no, not that evening, the next day I think it was around lunchtime, around noon, he called and said, I cannot verify that other guy's employment. I've been trying and he's being very uncooperative, and it's all yours if you guys want it. And I said, we will be there. I said, are you there now? And he goes, I'm eating lunch, but I'll be back there in like a half hour. I said, we will be there to sign the lease and pay the deposit and claim the house. And that's how easy it was. It went from the day before me just panicking, calling my landlord to make sure he wasn't going to kick us out on the streets, and him saying, hey, God will provide, and me going, you know what? You're right. Like, why am I getting into this panic mode to everything went so easy. It's easy, you guys. It's easy. When you take the easy, best feeling way. Like I said with the leopard, is he going to go for the gazelle that's hurt and is probably just going to suffer and die if he doesn't kill it and use it? Or is he going to go for the strong gazelle because he feels like he needs to work hard, you know? No, he's going to, it's the ease of it. Go with the ease of it. What feels better? What feels like the best route to go? The most fun, the easiest, the one that feels so good. That's where you're supposed to go. And you can do that in your daily life. You can do that when you get up in the morning. When you get up in the morning, does it feel easier to get up in the morning, sit on the side of the bed and have a good stretch and smile and be like, this day is going to be awesome. Some great things are going to come today? Or is it easier to be like, oh, the alarm just went off and God dang it, I got to go to work and it's going to suck so bad and I'm going to turn on the news and find out all the horrible things happening today? Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I do not watch the news. I do not turn on the TV in the morning. I just cannot even imagine starting your day like that. That just sounds so horrible and uneasy to me. It's all about these little choices. When you get in your car and you're driving somewhere and you're like, oh, I got to drive there again. Take a different route. Go over a few blocks. Take a different street. Take the long way. Take the short way. Do something different that makes it feel better. You know, you run into your coworker that you can't stand. Knock their socks off with kindness. Just be sticky sweet to them and see how, even if it just makes them squirm and you're like, you know, they're uncomfortable. You're like, yeah, how'd that feel? Like, do the fun, easy, good feeling way to get where you want to go. And honestly, the only place that you need to worry about getting to and going to is right now. How do you feel right now? We're all, and I've been caught up in it so hard lately because we have a Disney trip coming up and we have my daughter's wedding coming up and they're literally 2 months apart. So we're just like, how are we going to get all this money and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's all going to work out better than expected. That is my phrase. It's all going to work out better than expected. It's going to be better than expected. Everything comes together better than expected. When you put it out there like that, it leaves it wide open for the universe to give you things that are so good you didn't even expect them. Just like the day I was thinking about getting a new car and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm probably going to get a little SUV or a little crossover, something practical. You know, I can't get my Camaro yet. It's not practical. And then a couple people stepping in and going, wait a minute, like, why would you not get what you want? Oh, yeah, you're right. Like, I've been driving this minivan for 16 years, raising kids, doing foster care a few times. You know, I can drive my dream car now. And I have been for almost 3 years. And it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for my business, for making the car payment every month. I make more than the car payment every month. I'm so grateful for my husband for working the job that he works so we can afford everything that we have. It's just awesome. So I encourage you to pick the best feeling way to get to work, to make dinner, to, you know, I was thinking about appliances too. Like, look at, like, when I was just talking about it, when my grandma was a little girl, she was like 12, she went for the summer, for the whole summer, to her grandma's house, which is my great grandma's house, and worked the whole summer, never went home once. Her grandma kept her working all summer because they had, on certain days there was laundry day, on certain days there was canning days, on certain days, like, can you imagine taking the whole day to do laundry? Like, you wake up in the morning and you start boiling the water so you can do the laundry, and you're stripping all the beds and you're getting the iron ready to iron all the pants and shirts, and that's your whole day. No, we do it easy. We throw our clothes in a washing machine, throw some detergent in there, wait for it to get done, and then we throw it in the dryer, And if it's a little wrinkly, we throw it back in the dryer most of the time, or we take it to the cleaner. We don't take a whole day to do laundry because things have gotten easier. As humans, our human nature is to do what's easiest, You know, sometimes you do want to cook a big meal at Thanksgiving or whatever, but isn't it easier to just throw something in the microwave and eat it? I mean, not all the time if you want really good food because it needs some prep time, but if you enjoy cooking, you love to do that. You love all that prep time. If you don't enjoy cooking, you love going to a really good restaurant that you love and having them cook for you and paying for that service to get that. Like, it's all about ease. If you look back to like the 1930s and 1920s when my grandma was a little girl, and how there was whole days set aside for tasks that now take us 10 minutes because the laundry takes longer than that, but it's not going to take me that long to put a load in there, put some detergent in there, shut the door and push a few buttons and then transfer it into the dryer. All of that was like in a tub outside and boiling all the water for the sheets and then hanging everything out to dry. What if it's raining and then you got to like hang it all out in the house? Like, yeah, it's just a totally different situation. I feel awesome. I woke up at 2:45, hit the gym at 4:30, finished at 5:30, shipped 15 this morning. That's awesome. I shipped 15 this morning too. While I was live on my channel, we create our reality with each choice. Yes, we do. I'm in my 7th year of full-time reselling and I love it. So reselling is what I do, but I don't do it full-time because I don't have to. But I've definitely upped my game. January, I figured out my what is it called? Your ratio of how many you list compared to how many you sell. And I decided I needed to up it to where I wanted to be. I needed to list 18 things a day, 5 days a week, and have the weekends off. And so I did that in January. I think January was a super slow month for darn near every reseller I know. But I did that consistently throughout the month of January. And then February, what I'm doing is I'm going to start integrating more and more jewelry jars into my inventory. So I'm just trying out all these cool little things this month. This year, but I'm definitely seeing it now. Like February is definitely picking up. I think because people are realizing what they have from their taxes. I just feel like January is always such a dead month because everybody just got over Christmas. They're looking at taxes. They're not spending as much, even in the, used clothes business or whatever. But anyways, yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. Like, and I love that you got up at 2:45. I've been having a lot of insomnia. I actually woke up a little after 3. The dogs try to get me up, and my husband just went to days, and he has to be to work at 5. So he's been setting his alarm for 3:30 because he needs to be out of here by 4:30. So my early mornings have just gotten earlier because I used to get up between 4 and 5, and now it's more like 3:30 or 4. So that's been fun. But I'm just like, it is what it is. I have the time freedom to do that because I'm a reseller. I don't have to be at work a certain time and get off at a certain time. I can just juggle my whole day around, all of that. Like yesterday, night before last, I got up at midnight and I never really got back to sleep until I finally went downstairs and crashed out on the couch with my dogs for a couple hours on and off and just really restless. I think that's why I slept so good. But you don't want to hear about my sleep schedule. I'm just blabbering at this point. So Nostalgia Picker, I appreciate you watching and commenting. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell notification, hit the thumbs up, leave any comments on this video. If you watch the replay, I would appreciate it. It brings the algorithm up and all that good stuff. And if there's anything you want me to do a video on, I'm always up for suggestions. So, and Nostalgia Picker, what is your first name? Just so I know. Because that would be nice to know. I might already know who you are. My first name is Shelly. And most of the reselling channels, I'm Cherry Picker 54. Looks like I'm already subscribed. Nice. Oh, and as far as years, I've been selling on eBay. Oh, Todd, okay. I think I know who you are because you were on were you on Valerie's? Were you on Valerie's lives? Chick Picker? Maybe. I started doing eBay back in 99, 2000 when we would still send, or when we would send, not still, because you definitely don't do that now, but we would do money orders. So I would sell something, and it was all auction. So I would sell something, and then I'd have to wait like a week for the person to send me a money order, and then I would go cash the money order, and then I would pack it, and then I would take it to the post office and ship it. That's how it was back in the wild west of eBay. There were no other selling platforms online like that. Okay, I'm going to go. It's been 41 minutes. I got stuff to do. So thanks for watching, Todd. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you next time. Yes, Valerie, a friend of mine. Okay, I remember you because you never showed your face. It was always just your hands and your desk, I believe. Anyways, you guys all have a great day if you're watching. You have a productive day too, Todd. Okay, talk to you next time. Bye.